Welcome back to the Bluegrass on this beautiful June afternoon. This is our fourth video in our series, How to Prevent or Address Reactivity Problems in Puppies and or Adult Dogs, okay? And so what we're talking about today is the value of what we call adventure training, okay? So this is a little Malinois. His name is Bo. You'll remember from the other series that Bo gets really torn up when anything new comes into the environment, and he barks and carries on, right? Sometimes he barks because he's happy. Sometimes he barks and snaps and goes and hides because he's afraid, okay? But ultimately, he's hard to take out places because he gets what people would call nowadays reactive, okay? So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about how we approach dealing with dogs who have a tendency to get a little overexcited, okay? Remember what I told you from the other videos? All the dogs react to things in the environment. It's just some of them react in the ways that you like, and some of them react in ways that you don't like, okay? So this dog, we are really happy that he gets super excited about doing stuff. We're just not super happy that when he gets excited, whether he's excited for a good reason or excited for a bad reason, is he starts barking and carrying on because he kind of intimidates people. And then over the course of time, like that is a self-reinforcing pattern where he thinks maybe that he doesn't like somebody, so he barks at them, and then people start looking at him like they don't like him, and he says, you know, I was right. These people obviously don't like me. I don't like them. It just kind of gets blown out of proportion, okay? So a lot of what we do in our adventure training is we just desensitize dogs to new and novel experiences. Well, what's kind of neat about that is that this dog, who has the potential to be what people would call reactive later in life, okay, just the fact that we're doing adventure training with them is going to pretty much prevent that kind of behavior from happening. So I have some other dogs over here. Claire, bring me Moose. All right, so now watch. I have another dog that's here. Come on, Moose. I have another dog that's here for adventure training. And so both of these dogs today are going to go out back with me, and we're going to do a little mowing, we're going to do a little tractor riding, and we're going to do some side-by-side riding and some ATV riding, okay? Now, these two dogs here, right, they're here specifically to become socialized to those type of activities so their owners, you know, can go out and do things. Their owners thought about it in a proactive manner. Okay, now, so here, dude, back up over there and get you a treat. All right, now bring me this other dog. Now, so here's an adult dog. His name is Albert, okay? And Albert is here because Albert has bitten a couple of people. Albert, like this dog, he gets a little bit tore up when something new comes into the environment, and he has a tendency to bark, and like if things get a little too close to him, he's kind of snappy, you know. It's not like he's hunting people down, like he's trying to kill them and drag them back to his lair or anything, but like if he gets scared or nervous, or if you do something that he considers a transgression, then he'll snap and bite you, snap at you and bite you. And you'll notice right there, this Malinois puppy was getting a little too close to Alfred, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but he's back there growling at him, right? Okay, so Alfred is pretty at home with conflict. So you might say, well, Stonnie, what does having Alfred getting up in the, or Albert getting up in the side-by-side have to do with addressing reactivity? Okay, because this is something that initially scared him, and he didn't want to do it. He wouldn't do it, okay? And so I just kind of kept making him do it and making him do it and making him do it until he decided he could do it. Now, when he decided he could do it, he didn't like it, right? But we went from not doing it to doing it and not liking it to now he's up there waiting for the side-by-side to start. So if I won't do it, I'll do it, but I don't like it. Well, it ain't that bad. Okay, so if we apply that same pattern to reactivity problems, he sees another person or he sees a dog that he doesn't like. He's like, I'm not going near them, I'm not letting them near me. And you say, well, you have to. And he says, well, I'm not going to. If they come over here, I'm going to bite them. I say, you can't bite them. Okay, you can't snap at them, can't growl at them, nothing. And he says, well, okay, I won't snap at them, but I don't like them. And then after a while, he's around enough people, he's been walked by enough people, he's been hiked with by enough people that he starts to realize, okay, well, they're not so bad. The same thing with the side-by-side. So our basic theory is that we like to establish enough basic obedience so that we can get the dogs out and put them in a broad range of situations and let them learn by doing. Okay, so let me show you. I've got another dog here. So Albert is a Goldendoodle. This is a Bernedoodle. Let me see if I can turn him around here. Now this dog, he's also bitten two people, okay? Now one of the reasons, I just made a short about this. Look, he'll get a little nervous if I grab his head. But one of the reasons I think that this dog was kind of having trouble is because he couldn't see. Guys, if you have a doodle that can't see the world, right, okay, then they're gonna have trouble. So if you can't see your doodle's eyes, that means the doodle can't see the world correctly. Okay, that means I'm going to make them nervous, and they're much more likely to have some kind of problem. Okay, so now I want this dog to get up in this side by side, and this dog is going to say no. Okay, watch. Come on, dude. Come on. Up. Now, when this dog first came here, he didn't know how to do anything. Couldn't walk on a leash, couldn't do any of our obstacles. Like, he just doesn't know how to do anything, right? So if you don't even know how to walk on a leash, if you don't know how to get in the car, if you don't know how to get in the truck, if you don't know how to get in the side by side, if you don't know how to walk up steps, right, you can see where the world would seem like a very daunting place. So even though this dog is here because he's bitten some people, one of our first steps is just to make him understand that sometimes he's going to be in what he considers uncomfortable situations, but if he trusts us, that it's going to work out to his advantage. Okay, so look, so I'm going to take a treat. Now this is what will get you guys, right? You see me or you see other dog trainers doing food work with dogs, and like it works perfectly. This is more the reality of it. I've got a little piece of meat, and I'm offering the dog this little piece of meat to walk up these steps. And he's like, Stonnie, that's impossible. I can't walk up those steps. I'm not walking up those steps. I'll probably die if I walk up those steps. And this piece of meat just does not provide a sufficient amount of motivation to get him to try to overcome this fear and this sense that he just can't do it. Right? Okay. So what I have to do is I kind of have to treat him like I was treated as a child, and I just have to tell him he's going to do it because I said so, right? And what that's going to do is that's going to put us at odds at first. I'm going to say, you have to do this. He's going to say, I can't do it. I won't do it. And I'm going to say, well, you can do it and you will do it. And one of us has to be right, okay? So not all dog training looks as perfect in real life as what it looks on Instagram. Okay, you see people with a handful of roast beef and they're getting their dog to rotate and move and come between their legs and do all kinds of things that don't really translate into real life. Okay, listen, those dogs have been raised with those food work protocols, so they respond in the fashion that makes them look good on Instagram. Like when you are watching those videos and you have an adult dog that has no skills in terms of problem solving, has very low confidence, he's got a naturally kind of low threshold at which he feels threatened and he shuts down, that's just not going to work. So sometimes you just have to say, look, dude, you have to do it. And that's just the bottom line, right? So I tell them they have to get up here, right? Now, so Charlotte, can you come over here and turn the side by side on? So once I get them to where they get up here, they're like, they don't want to do it the first few times. And then they say, okay, I'll do it, but I don't like it. And then over the course of time, when they realize that the side-by-side's going somewhere fun, they like getting up there. But there's a big step between getting them up here and actually taking off and driving with them. We have to turn the side-by-side on, and a lot of times when you first turn the side-by-side on with a nervous dog, they'll jump out. And again, don't worry about the side-by-side. Maybe the side-by-side doesn't apply to your real life. Just look at the side-by-side as an example of something that your dog is afraid of and doesn't want to do. Okay, Charlotte, go ahead and turn the side-by-side on. Press the brake and turn the key. Okay, all right, technical issue. I'll have to get up here and do this for. Okay, now, what you just saw there, guys, that's regular life, okay? Never get upset when your training plans don't go according to plan, because they just don't, right? I've got a little bit of a loose switch up there, and I had to jiggle the key just a little bit to get the side-by-side to come on. And what I had to do was I had to go around there, and I took my presence away from back here. If I wouldn't have worked on basic obedience, which was last week's lesson, then these dogs would not have stayed in the side-by-side. Okay, so what are we using the side-by-side for? We're using it as a stand-in for anything that you might run into in your life that your dog refuses to do because it's afraid, right? You have to teach your dogs that some things just have to be done. And at first they're gonna say, I'm not doing it. But after a while, they'll start to realize that if you tell them they have to, they just have to. And then at some point past that, they will realize that if you tell them to do something, it always works out to their advantage in the long run. Okay, so now we're gonna go out back, and we're gonna walk around the woods a little bit. I'm gonna do some mowing and some weed eating, and we're just gonna expose all these dogs to life. And even though we're doing remedial socialization with these two dogs, trying to keep them from biting people, okay, we're doing adventure training with the other two dogs. So the same kind of training that I do helps dogs realize their potential regardless of your long-term goals. I always say, establish your baseline basic obedience and socialization first, then you don't have problems, right? If you have good basic obedience, good socialization, you can work on anything you want for the rest of the dog's life. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna head out back and see what we can get into. All right, so I'm out in the pre-adventure area and I have to do a little bit of weed eating on our trails and I have to do quite a bit of mowing. And while I'm doing that, the girls are just gonna kind of let these dogs tag along with them and explore, okay? Now you have to remember that what we're trying to do here is build confidence in the dogs. And sometimes when you're trying to build confidence in a dog or a child, initially you're going to meet with resistance. So just expect it. So I'm gonna go off here in the woods and I'm gonna drag these two dogs off in the woods with me. Now, you notice they both have long lines. Guys, if you're ever doing any work with long lines, just be ready to be disappointed with how easy it is, because it's not easy. The long lines get wrapped up everywhere. It would be much easier for me to come out here and do all this work minus these dogs, okay? But I'm doing my best to get the dogs used to real life. And in real life, work always has to come before the play. And if I want these dogs to be able to play hard, I got to be able to understand that I have to work hard. That way when they go home and their owners ask them to do something boring or take a walk and go someplace where maybe they would normally be a little bit reactive or fearful, the dogs say, okay, well, I'll get that work done and then something I like will happen. All right, so I'm gonna head off in here and let these dogs drag their long lines around in the woods, and hopefully we don't lose them. Come on, nerds. All right, now, so once I get into the woods, I'm gonna mainly keep an eye on what I'm doing, okay? But every so often you'll see me stop what I'm doing and check on these dogs. And I don't know if you can see it right now, but they went to go back that way where the girls are and I stepped on their leashes. Okay, that's the proper way to use a long line, guys. Long lines really should be called drag lines because you just let the dogs drag them around, and if they go to get themselves in trouble, you step on them. Well, okay, that's what I do. You should not do that because you might trip and fall. So my advice is actually do not step on your long line. Okay, all right, so let me get these dogs a little bit deeper off in here so they can go find something, even if they're a little bit nervous about being in here. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of light weed eating on this trail, and then I'm gonna get back to mowing. Okay, cameraman, you can just kind of see what those dogs are doing, and I'm gonna hit the weed eater. Okay, you guys can go up that way. Now, right now, you'll notice that my weed eater isn't particularly loud. That's because I kind of switched from gas-powered weed eaters to battery-powered weed eaters last year. And I have been pleasantly surprised with the results. But before these dogs go home, I'll make sure they get plenty of experience with the gas-powered weed eaters, because that's more likely what they're going to see in their home environments. Now you see that dog's getting that lead tied around the tree, and he's a little bit nervous about this sound. Now you gotta be careful, guys. Don't weed eat too close to them. You don't want to, throw something up in their eyes. But the good thing about the long line or the drag line is that, like, if you're out and about and the dogs start to wander off too much, they almost always get the line tangled on something. When they get the line tangled on something, then you just go over there and help them. Okay, then you get to look like a hero. Very nice. The dog goes to go away, I step on his leash. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the Malinois puppy, he's just running around over here, and the Lab's just running around because they're a little bit more confident, outgoing dogs. I don't have to have them on long lines because they already know that going wherever I go is how you how they guarantee their access to fun stuff. And I think Albert might have went back up there with Charlotte. Okay, well, I will not bore you guys with hours of weed eating, so you kind of get the idea. Now I'm going to go up there and I'm going to get on the mower, and I'm going to go do some mowing. And while I'm mowing, the dog's going to have to sit still and wait patiently with the girls. And again, another big lesson. The dog's going to be like, "Hey, where's Stonnie going?" And the girl's going to tell him he's got stuff to do, and you got to sit over here and wait patiently. Very important skill. All right, let's see. Here comes Albert back into the scene. Cameraman, back out that way. Oh my gosh, look at good Albert. He's such a good boy. See if I can call him to me. Albert, come here, buddy. That's a very good boy. Swing around that way, and you can see Albert, I believe. Kind of back out towards the fire pit and come around that tree. Now here he comes. Okay, all right, so you'll notice that Albert, he went off with the girls, but then he came back into the woods, and he gets a little nervous about his leash getting tied on stuff, and he almost came when I called him. So that's big progress for Albert. Very proud of him. Very good. Guys, you have to take your victories where you can find them. All right, so I knocked a big portion of the mowing and weed eating out. Now we're going to take a little bit of a hike. Now you'll notice that these two dogs that are here for remedial socialization, they have to stay on a leash. Okay, and the reason they have to stay on a leash is because even though I've took some time today to acclimate them to being out here in in our pre-adventure area, okay, they're still not used to this, and these dogs have no idea what constitutes proper hiking etiquette. In other words, they don't know that they're not supposed to wander off, okay? So I gotta kind of, the first few times I come out, I have to kind of treat them like, like they're new puppies and show them, lead them through every little thing. Very nice. Come on, dogs. You can do it. Now, for you guys who start to maybe think about following this strategy with your own dogs, be prepared to be disappointed. Okay, be prepared for your leash to get caught up on bushes. Be prepared for your dog to not want to go someplace. Okay, just be prepared for anything that's likely to happen where the dog says, "I can't" or "I won't." It's just exactly like what we were talking about up there on the side-by-side, is the dogs were saying, "Well, I can't" or "I won't" sometimes. Well, listen, of course they say that because they've never learned any different. So instead of getting mad at your dog, like take responsibility for not properly, having properly prepared them for this type of activity. Come on, dogs. Now, one of the things that's going to make this a little easier for me is, while I was mowing, the dogs were out running and getting fatigued. And so when they run and get fatigued, they're not as likely to get themselves into trouble on our walks. You'll see, Albert's kind of wanting to go back up there and hang out with the girls. And I'm going to force him to come with me. And I'm going to force him to, try to find some joy in these adventures. Now, Max is going off that way, okay? Max just saw that path went that way, so he started to make a decision. He said, "Well, I'm just going to go on this path." What I'm saying here is, no, we're going to take a different path. This is learning by doing, guys. This is where you really start to be able to influence your dogs and help them learn that they have to pay attention to you, and that you're not always just going to follow them around and pay attention to them. Because like when they're puppies, a lot of times, like with dogs like Albert and Max, when they're puppies, everybody lavishes attention on them and does all kinds of stuff for them. But then later on in life, the dogs aren't prepared to make decisions based on what their owners want, because they grew up having their owners make decisions on what they want, if that makes sense, So I have to get out here and convince these dogs that we're going to do fun stuff, and I am interested in them having a good time and learning a lot of great lessons, but ultimately they have to follow me around and make me happy if they want these adventures to continue. Come on, come on. And this long line, it just helps me keep them getting themselves in trouble or getting off to a spot where I can't see them. Okay, now let me go ahead and prepare you for the emotional problems associated with doing this activity. If you do it without a long line, a lot of times your dog's going to make a mistake and head off into the woods or head down a path, and you're going to panic, and when you go to call them back, you're going to sound panicked. Dogs don't respond well to people who sound panicked. Now the flip side of that is if you go to the trouble of introducing an older dog to hiking and you're using a long line, you're going to get really frustrated because like the long line is going to pull on your hand. You're going to constantly have to be going and unwinding the long line from the bushes and stuff. And so then when you call the dog, you're going to sound frustrated and unhappy, right? So there's either way, guys. You're going to have to learn to control yourself. If you go out without a leash, you're not going to have any control, and most likely you're going to end up panicking, and the dog's not going to want to mind. If you go out with a long line, you're going to sound frustrated, and you're going to sound unhappy, maybe even a little bit angry, and the dog's not going to want to mind. Okay? Do not externalize that blame onto the dog, because you're the one that should have done this when they were babies. Come on, dogs. You're very good dogs. Come on, come on. Now, look at Max. Come here, look at Max. Where are you going? Now, Max has no reason to go that direction, but he just wants to go that direction, you know? Now, remember earlier when we were at the side-by-side and he didn't want to get in the side-by-side, and I said, well, you know, look, dude, you just have to do it because I said so. Go on down there, cameraman, a little bit. Okay, and we're going to take a walk up this other path. Go on the other side of him so that they can see me too, right? Okay, so that's Max in the foreground saying, I'm going that direction. I'm way back here saying, no, we're going the other direction. And there's no treats here that's going to convince him to go my direction. There's no like being nice to him and being an offering to pat him on the head that's going to make him go my direction. He's going to come my direction because I said so. Come on, nerd. Come on. Come on, come on. Very nice. We're going this way because I said so. Very good dogs. Okay, now you'll probably, because of the sun, have to go up that way a little bit. Sorry guys, I'm having to talk to the cameraman so much, but this time of day it's just really tough to make videos, and I wanted you guys to see what it's really like when it's hot and you're working with under-socialized dogs. Okay. All right, now we can get going. Very nice. Don't go too far. Hey, where are you going? Stay in the camera, dude. Now look, I'm able to use the long line to keep the dogs from getting too far ahead of me so that they'll stay on the screen. Very nice. Where do you think you're going? Come on. Very good dogs. Wait. Ooh, slow down a little bit. Slow down. And you don't need to go that direction, and you need to slow down. Back on up there a little bit, cameraman. Good. Come on, Albert. We're going on this path. Very good. Very good dogs. Slow down. Come on. Slow down. Slow down. Very good. Now all these times where I'm telling this dog to slow down and he's forced to comply, that's just another deposit in the you have to mind Uncle Stonnie bank. All right guys, so let's kind of wrap this video up because I'm back over at the mower and I have to finish mowing and weed eating. But what did we do so far? The first week, we just took these dogs in and we showed them that the world has a lot to offer and very little of what the world has to offer is anything to be afraid of. What did we do the second week? We started to introduce some simple, basic obedience. In other words, we started to make the dogs understand that their access to what they want is dependent upon meeting our expectations, and that sometimes they're going to be in positions where they don't think something's a good idea. But if I think it's a good idea, it's going to get done anyway. And over the course of time, the dogs will start to realize that you wouldn't put them in situations where they're going to fail. Now the 3rd and 4th week, we just start to put the basic obedience and the expectation of positive experiences together, and we get out, we get moving, and we do interesting things. And that's where coming out to our pre-adventure area, you know, really starts to help the dogs confidence explode, you know. And when I come out to the pre-adventure area, I make sure that I don't make it all about the dogs, okay? One of the big problems with dog training nowadays is that people kind of think that dog training is all about the dog. Well, let me tell you something I've learned over the course of years. You see how this dog, he just started to take off and go back over there with the girls, okay? Well, that's kind of how this dog got in trouble in the first place, making his own decisions. It's impolite for this dog to be on a leash and to decide to walk away from me, because if he's on the leash, obviously I expect him to stay with me, even if it's a long leash. Okay, so if he makes his own decisions on that, well, I mean, why not make his own decisions on everything? And I know for sure that if he goes home and he just wanders off every time that his owner stopped to talk to somebody, they're going to end up not taking him anyplace. So you have to understand that obedience leads to freedom. It really is that simple, and I don't care how you get to your obedience. If you've got really strict food work protocols that you start with puppies, if you are a traditional trainer, I don't care. As long as you pick something and you implement it consistently, and the overarching goal of the training methodology is to produce a dog that is safe in the widest possible combination of environments, then I think you're in good shape. You know, so like if you want to If you want to see something simple, put a long line on your dog and go out and live an interesting life. He's going to learn. If you want to do what you see on Instagram, you want to do some food work and you want to do some clicker training, that's great too. I mean, because it works to fill in the gaps. And even if you're just a traditional compulsive trainer, okay, as long as you administer your discipline in a fair and consistent manner, it's all going to work out fine. Guys, we're all trying to get to the same place. These two dogs, they both bitten 2 people. When I was a kid, dogs didn't get to bite 2 people, you know. They got to bite 1 person, and then they ended up back behind the chicken coop, right? So my message, all right, through making these videos is I think we can all try to get to the same place, even if we don't use the exact same methodology. But I would like for you to give my basic theory a shot, okay? Reintroduce your dog to the world and show them that the world has a lot of great things to offer. Teach them some basic obedience, one way or the other. Make your dogs understand that they have to be calm, attentive, and polite, that they have to follow basic directions, and it doesn't matter who's in the environment or what environment they're in. And then once you've got a little bit of good basic obedience and you have a nice expectation on the dog's part of going out in the world and having, you know, kind of interesting experiences, put them together and get out in the world and show them all the different things that you can do. Just get out, get moving, and do interesting things, and you're going to watch your dog's confidence explode. So as the dog's basic obedience gets better, you're going to be able to take them more. The more you take them, the more positive experiences that they have. The more positive experiences they have, the more positive their general outlook on life is, and the less likely they are to be reactive or aggressive, okay? So that works when you're doing remedial socialization, and it also works if you're just raising puppies to go on big adventures, okay? So again, I don't care specifically how you end up with a dog that's happy and confident and attentive and outgoing, okay? But just make sure that you start putting one foot in front of the other and you end up there, okay? And I don't care if you've got an 8-week-old puppy or you have an 8-week-old dog that hates your neighbor, okay? This same strategy, it works across the board as long as you're willing to be consistent and persistent. Okay, so I'd like for you to put this stuff to work. Put your thoughts in the comment section below, and you know, tell me about your success stories or your lack of success, and we'll see if this approach needs to be modified. I look forward to hearing your comments, and I'll see you guys next week. How was that?